Okay. Do dogs come from wolves? Or do all dogs come from wolves? No, I don't believe that dogs came from wolves. Evolutionists and animal shows always profess that. I think Nat Geo Wild always says that all dogs came from wolves. Animal Planet, I think, as of recently said, no, they got it wrong. Dogs come from dogs. People that believe, dogs came from wolves contend that ancient man took tame wolves, whatever that means, and bred them. I don't know how they bred them since they were still considered to be wild, but they bred them, and because of that, they were able to get different looking wolves that were the predecessor to all the breeds of dogs. If you ask any wolf person, even captive bred wolves that are supposedly tame, they will tell you that you cannot tame a wolf. Even people that have wolf-dog hybrids will say never turn your back on that dog-wolf because they still retain their wild instincts. So that alone is confusing. I don't know how it is they supposedly bred these tame wolves, if they captive bred them, obviously, and what made them tame? Just because they came up to the camp and weren't as afraid as other wolves when they threw scraps of food to them. Anyhow, you cannot get a poodle or a chihuahua from a wolf, no matter how many times you breed the tamer version of that wolf. Genetics will prove that. There was a study done in, I believe, Russia, where they bred countless generations of captive raised foxes, I guess to prove the wolf-dog theory. And I don't know how many generations they did, but it was enough that they, so they bred all these foxes, again, tame ones. I guess they stuck their hand in the cage and realized who was tame and who wasn't. And the end result were foxes with a curly tail. And that was supposed to prove that breeding tame anything can change the look. Again, I don't know how they think behavior has something to do with genetics, but they do. They don't tell you in that study whether there was inbreeding going on or line breeding or relative breeding or whatever, but, I don't know. Pretty inconclusive, I think, study as far as I'm concerned. I find interesting that when you watch shows about dogs, the Great Dane, for instance, they will say, that dog used to be very aggressive. It was bred for hunting and aggression, and we were able to select the tame ones and breed out the aggression without changing the look. So the Great Dane essentially has the same look that it had 100 or whatever years ago. So which is it? You breed a tame selection of a certain breed of dog and the look does not change because you don't want the look to change. You breed tame wolves, whatever that is again, and you were able to change the look of that, selective breeding, and over countless thousands or hundreds of thousands or millions of years, the wolf changed into a dog-like creature, and from there, genetics played a role, and that's how we got all the breeds. I personally think dogs came from dogs. I think there were several breeds of dogs from the beginning. We can argue about what the beginning is in another video. And since dogs do have a genetic capability of, really changing their look just by breeding just a few dogs, I believe that's how it happened. So, and then mankind, of course, stepped in and took certain traits. And by the way, the only way to do that is to inbreed initially to get that look. And then that's how we got our current dog. And now I'm not saying dogs can't breed with wolves or coyotes or maybe fox or whatever. But another ironic thing I heard was that huskies, which to me look the most wolf-like, are always said to be the least related to the wolf. Don't ask me where they got that one, but I always found that to be interesting. So I think one of the oldest breeds is like what you would see in Egypt, or you know, that short-haired type of a dog look. Anyway, something to think about.